All right. So it's November 5th. I've completed 4 days of NaNoWriMo, and I'm, again, for those who haven't seen any of these others, I'm not writing a novel, I'm writing a movie script that I plan on making in just a couple months. So I'm writing during the month of November. I want to edit, polish, do pre-production, and hopefully shoot this thing in January. That's the goal anyway. But there's a couple of issues that I'm running into. Largely, it has very little to do with the writing, but because I actually plan on making this thing, right? So I got quite a bit written yesterday. I think I wrote about 7 pages, and my goal has been 4 a day. It's not the same as the word count for most people doing NaNoWriMo, which is like 1,667 words, right? I'm shooting for more like 800, which is about 4 pages of a movie script. And for those who might be curious, I'm using Highland 2 on my Mac. It's screenwriter John August. He has a company called Quote Unquote Apps. He made this software. It's free. You can upgrade for extra features, but this is free software on the Mac. So if you have a Mac, you can download this for free and just free screenwriting software. It's fantastic. And among other things, it tells you word counts and how long you've written, how long it would take to read and stuff like that. But that aside, some of the issues that I'm running into are because I'm actually planning on doing this thing. In the last video, I talked about how I was researching locations to have this scene, because I need this scene that takes place in a club. I'm writing a film noir movie, which is, a common set piece might be going to a big club, like a dance club, a big restaurant, whatever. The modern version of a club today is like all the lights and everything. It's very different than what they did back then. The closest thing is probably like a bar or a nice restaurant. And I've been trying to research places I could actually afford with my budget and I could get a hold of. And the best place I can find is it's a wedding venue, right, that I could rent. I want to say it's like $400 a day, and I'm trying to keep that as low as possible. So I was thinking, do I want to change the location, or is it important enough to keep it there because it has the right vibe and the feeling of a film noir? And that's one of the things I'm struggling with. Some of the other things are, again, my inspiration is film noir. So I was watching a great video on YouTube earlier today. It's called, I probably don't have it up here anymore, but it's 100 Years of Cinema is this series that this guy's doing, and the year was 1944. He talked about the movie Double Indemnity, which is a very classic film noir movie. If I'm right, Fred McMurray, Barbara Steinweg, and it's very super noir, very dark and moody, which is what I'm going for. And it got me thinking a lot of things. Am I gonna change my story to fit the style a little bit better, or do I keep going with the story that I'm writing and what I've created? Because film noir is a little bit darker than what I'm writing. What I'm writing is very character driven. It's using the style of film noir, but it's really, the way I call it, is a coming of age story, which is not what you think of with film noir. Film noir is like people being bad with other people who are bad, and it's just everything. It's not a very positive outlook on life, and it's about this psychology of, criminals and things like that, which this is not completely about. It's about a college kid who's depressed because he makes some stupid decisions, among other things. So it delves into depression and naivete and doing something for the first time and having trust misplaced, and so it gets into some of these themes which are very, very noir. When I originally wrote this as a play, long time ago, I found an article in the Arizona Republic, which is a big paper where I'm from, and it was talking about Blood Simple, which was a Coen Brothers film back in the day. and it was like, there's 6 characteristics to film noir. And I'm like, great, I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to kind of mess with it a little bit. I wasn't aware of the concept of postmodernism at the time. Slightly postmodern. Sorry about that. Someone just fixed my car and it's ready. Anyway, back to where I was. So I'm kind of struggling with, do I stick to the story that I had originally planned? How much do I infuse of this style of film noir? And, you know, kind of this inspiration, how close do I need to be to get the effect that I want? I want people to be able to watch it and go like, that's film noir. That's cool. That's good. But I also don't want my story to suffer because of that. Then again, you know, if people actually watch this movie and things, you know, are successful, are they going to look at this and like, I don't know, it's a bit too soft to be noir. So I'm starting to get all these extra voices in my head, and it's probably something that some of you might be going through. Starting to think about your audience, which is a good idea, but letting the audience in your head get to you is probably a bad idea. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm starting to think, no, just go through with this thing, make changes later if you need to. That's probably what I should do. Write it with the club. I'm thinking out loud. Write it with the club, change if I need to, shoot for the moon, focus on the characters I've created, and maybe if I think it's not dark enough, adjust it later. Because one of the other things that's very noir, especially in Double Indemnity, is this narration, you know, the detective narrating. Except in Double Indemnity, where this idea comes from, he's not a detective. But that's the stereotype, right? Like if you look at Veronica Mars, which takes the stereotype and then, you know, it makes it a high school girl who's investigating, being a private investigator. She does the narration, but it's not in a cheesy way. And that's what I'm afraid of, is this coming off as cheesy. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud, and I want to make sure I get a video a day. I think this might be kind of cool to go back and look at, and if it's useful to you, awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching. I didn't even introduce myself. Dr. Jacob Larson. This is Read, Write, and Cite. And I'm in the middle of NaNoWriMo right now. But it's the writing's going pretty well. And yeah, maybe I'll check in tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.